Hi, you're just in time to help me with a big decision. See, what I want to do is eat this burger. But what I know I should do is be eating more foods made out of healthy things like brown rice, mushrooms. But this burger has onions, pickles, ketchup and mustard, and fresh tomato. Still, I should be eating high phytonutrient foods like beets or black beans. But this burger was ready in just 10 minutes. I took it out of the refrigerator, heated it up along with this bun. I know I should be eating foods high in omega-3 fatty acids like walnuts and flaxseed. Oh, how clever are you? You're right. This black bean and beet burger was made with all these healthy ingredients. So I know it's high in phytonutrients and omega-3 fatty acids and all the great things I put into it. I can eat this burger without a guilty conscience. Black bean beet burgers. That's what we're cooking up today on World Peas Kitchen. So let's get cooking. The first thing we're going to do is wash and soak some beans. We're going to start with 2 cups of black beans because on World Peas Kitchen we believe in making big batches and storing food for later. That's what makes vegan food convenient. After the beans have soaked overnight, we're going to rinse off all the soaking water and cook them in fresh water, boiling them for about 45 minutes to an hour. Then we're going to rinse off all that cooking water, get them really clean. This cuts down on the gassy factor. Trust me. Now let's look at the rest of the ingredients we have for this meal. There was something that maybe caught your attention far over to the right. Yeah, that's a tea bag. In fact, it's a bag of Lapsang Souchong tea, also called Russian caravan tea. It's a really smoky tea, and it's going to impart smoky flavor every time we add water. So we're going to start by making a pot of tea. Now we're going to get started on this beet. Even though it's been washed, we want to cut off all the outside parts that are a little fuzzy and unappealing. I know this is going to turn my cutting board purple, but I don't care. In fact, this is one of the things that makes beets so healthy for you. They're called phytonutrients, the brightly colored pigments in brightly colored fruits and vegetables. In World Peas Kitchen, we say, eat a rainbow. Eat foods that are green, yellow, orange, red, pink, purple, blue, and black. In this dish, the purple beets and the black beans, and also the black tea, are adding quite a healthy stew of phytonutrients. So on our purple stained cutting board, let's prep some garlic and throw that into the food processor with the beets. Add a little of that smoky tea and process it until it's a liquid. We want the garlic and beets and smoky tea flavor to infuse everything in our burger patty. So with the beets and garlic in the bottom of the food processor, let's add the onions and fennel. Now I know you know how to rough chop an onion, but you may be a little less familiar with the fennel. After washing the fennel, I just cut off the bottom and peel off any layers that seem a little brown or discolored. Then just chop up the whole thing with a rough chop that we're going to throw into the food processor. Fennel is somewhere between an onion and celery with a great light licorice taste. If you don't have fennel, you can definitely substitute 2 or 3 stalks of celery. Let's rough chop these mushrooms and throw them in the food processor. The mushrooms are going to retain moisture, which helps keep the burger patties juicy. Mushrooms are thought to help slow the aging process by supporting your cells' mitochondria. From this point forward, everything that goes in the food processor we're just going to process until chunky. It's the mix of textures that's going to make our burger patties interesting. You can add a little smoky tea if you need to get the food processor working smoothly. Now we're going to add the black beans and the brown rice. Let's throw in those flax seeds and some of that turmeric powder. Hey, look at that color. More phytonutrients. Like the turmeric powder, the flax seeds are an extremely healthy thing to add to these burger patties. They'll help bind the patties together, but they also add omega-3 fatty acids, which are really good for you. We've only made 2/3 of our burger patties, but let's stir it up and just give an idea of how things are starting to look. We're just going for a chunky texture. There may still be some whole black beans and some whole pieces of rice in our burger patties. It just adds to the texture. Now let's add the third to the food processor, which is the olives and walnuts. We'll also add the paprika here and plenty of black pepper. Perhaps some optional vinegar and molasses. And lots of salt. The olives and walnuts are going to add a lot of flavor to the burger patties and a lot of texture and good quality fat. The walnuts, along with the flax seeds, are great sources of omega-3 fatty acids, which help restore the proper balance between omega-3 and omega-6 fatty acids in the bloodstream. This is thought to reduce overall inflammation and autoimmune disorders. Combining the olives and walnuts and stirring things up, it looks like perhaps the mixture's gotten just a little bit too wet. Perhaps we added just a bit too much of that lapsang souchong tea. That's not a problem. We can just add a bit of flour, perhaps half a cup or a cup, just to dry things out a bit. Now this can be any flour you have, a wheat flour if you're not worried about gluten-free. If you are, you can be brown rice flour, or millet flour, buckwheat flour, or teff. I tend to combine all of those and all the others that are available in my health food store and make myself a bit of a mixture of flours. Each of them alone has their weaknesses, but together they complement one another. All right, let's make some burger patties. Now, any meat eaters watching this may feel pretty confident that they know how to form a patty, but longtime vegetarians or vegans, this may be somewhat unfamiliar. All we're trying to do is make it look like a burger patty. So shape it with your hands for a bit, then throw it down on parchment paper and flatten it out. We've placed some parchment paper on our cooking sheets. Now, most people might put a little layer of oil or some other fat to keep the burger from getting stuck, but if you're trying to get the fat out of your food, having a roll of parchment paper around is a good idea. Now you might ask, why go through all this trouble to make our own veggie patties when you can go to the grocery store and find lots of veggie patties for sale? The truth is, we're almost as suspicious of processed vegetarian food as we are of any processed food. We only like processed food when it comes out of our food processor, and we know that only organic produce and other great healthy ingredients have gone into it. We're making the patties sort of medium-sized. You can make them even smaller for sliders. We were able to get nearly 2 dozen patties out of this amount of mixture, and we could have gotten to 2 dozen or even more if we'd made them a bit smaller. With the oven preheated to about 400 degrees, these will be ready in about 10 to 15 minutes. We can refrigerate or freeze the patty mixture, or we can form it into patties and freeze those to cook at a later date. What seems most convenient for me is to cook them all up right now. We'll serve some of them right away, have about a half a dozen in the refrigerator for this week, and another half dozen in the freezer for a couple of weeks from now. The burgers are ready, but before I call Sherry for lunch, I want to prepare the condiment plate and talk to you a little bit about the difference between ketchup and mustard. Now, if you're an American, you probably think nothing could be more evenly matched than ketchup and mustard, but from a health point of view, they're really in different categories. Mustard, even the mass market mustard they have at the ballpark, is in the category health food. Ketchup, even the high-end ketchup or organic ketchup, is in the category candy due to all the sugar. Most mustards are made with just a few ingredients, which is mustard seed and vinegar, perhaps a little salt, and the yellow color comes from our good friend turmeric. You can also find live cultured dill pickles and sauerkraut that are really quite healthy for you. Now, ketchup, on the other hand, I prefer to make for myself, using these simple ingredients. Just some sun-dried tomato that we're reconstituting in a little bit of water, and then we're going to put in some medjool dates. You have to take the seeds out of those. We'll use 2 of them, a little garlic for flavor, a whole tomato, and a little bit of salt, and perhaps some paprika. Just put it in the food processor, and pretty soon you have something that tastes a lot like ketchup, just with a lot less sugar. Okay, so lunch is ready. Now, Sherry doesn't worry about gluten, and she likes to have her burgers on a toasted baguette. I opted for convenience and picked up some gluten-free ciabatta rolls at the supermarket. That's a little too close to vegan processed food for me, so the next day I made some of my famous gluten-free flatbread. To find out how I did that, you're going to have to tune in for another episode when we have our pizza party. And if you subscribe, you'll also get to see what we did with these lovely vegetables. That's all for today on World Peas Kitchen. See you next time.